Previously on The Planet Traveler, CJ discovers a boat that he absolutely must explore no matter what the price. He goes ashore in an attempt to board the Elusive Dream.
What is that?
He encounters strange phenomenons that he cannot explain. Distracted for a moment, he gets back to the task at hand, boarding the Elusive Dream, but is perplexed on determining the best way to do so. Ultimately, he goes home defeated. And now, the continuation of The Planet Traveler. They say the difference between success and failure is getting up one more time than you fall. Well, my failure only made me more determined to board the Elusive Dream and explore it thoroughly. That meant I was going back for round 2. The following week, I set out to explore this boat, only this time it would be solo. There was no cameraman, only me, a boat, a camera, and a knife. And this time, I would not go away defeated. I grabbed my gear and I mounted the boat. The previous day, I checked the tide charts to see when the best time to leave would be. I chose to go when the tide was going out. It meant I would suffer paddling to Steamboat Slough, but it would be an easy cruise back just as long as the tide was still going out. Finally situated, I set out on my quest. The paddle upstream would not be easy, but I was sure I could do it. Surprisingly, the water was incredibly smooth. I encountered no wake. It was only the current I had to deal with. The paddle was a challenge. I felt like I was getting nowhere for all the effort I put in, but I couldn't stop or the flow of the river would erase the progress that I made. And so I pressed on, taking no more than 1-second breaks. Before I knew it, I caught a glimpse of the ship called Midas. Originally, it was tops on my list for exploration, but was thwarted by the no trespass signs posted everywhere. The fruits of my labors started to be realized as this abandoned ship approached. Unfortunately, the currents seemed to be stronger in this area, but I didn't let up for a minute. I kept pressing on, going as far as I could until I absolutely had to take a break. I watched as the once mighty ship known as Midas eased into the backdrop. I was in awe as the current secretly inched me back in the direction in which I came, but I didn't care. I took the moment to just sit and enjoy the view. Because the tide was low, the ship sat and wallowed in the mud. After about 30 seconds of this, I snapped out of my dream state and got back to business, paddling. 20 minutes later, I finally made it back to Steamboat Slough, and then the real adventure began. A short time later, I had my sights on the Elusive Dream. This time, it would not elude me. I took some time to study the boat and determine the best place to mount her. Because the tide was low, I knew boarding her from the shore was not an option. Later, I determined that the rear would be the best approach to board the boat. I approached slowly as I studied all aspects of this rusty tin can. And then I made my move. I took a moment to observe the situation and determine if I thought the boat was safe enough to board. I had spoken to the neighbors the week before. They told me that this heap of junk had sunk 2 times. The last thing I wanted was it to sink one more time with me on board. This thing doesn't even look safe. I gave myself the green light. That meant it was go time. As soon as I boarded, things started to get real. The deck was rusted, and what wasn't rusted was wooden, and it had splinters sticking out. I took a moment to look beneath the deck. Things didn't look good. Situated below was a combination of water and fuel, all swashing around together. The odor made me sick. I made my way towards the cabin. I struggled not to slide to the side of the boat due to the tilt. On top of that, I also had to avoid getting any splinters in my water shoes. With some effort, I made it to the main cabin of the boat. I took a second to look back and reflect on where I came from. Then I took a minute to determine if I wanted to venture into the cabin. It was covered with spider webs and also patrolled by wasps flying around. I quickly moved my attention to the bridge and whether the ladder was safe enough to use. Okay, this boat is extremely sketchy. I'm still debating on whether it was a good idea to come up here or not. Up these stairs here. That's the what do they call it? The bridge. Yeah, thinking about going up there, but I'm not sure if it's a good idea yet. I'm still assessing. I decided to go for it, but at this part of the boat, there was some major tilt action. At the bridge level, the angle of the slant didn't feel too extreme. The bridge is the highlight of any ship, and I was very excited to see it. I carefully made my way to the bridge. A group of wasps were hanging around doing waspy things, but I didn't let that stop me. Before I went in, I took a peek inside in an attempt to determine if it was safe enough to enter. I could see the cabin beneath through the bridge floor. I decided it wasn't a good idea to go in. I headed back to the ladder. I am not going on the bridge. The floor looks really dicey. At this point, the thought crossed my mind about getting off the boat. You know, this is a really stupid statement, but I absolutely do not feel safe on this boat. I feel like I need to get the hell off this boat now before I die. And on top of that, there's a whole bunch of wasps over here. I have a feeling there's a hornet's nest or something around here, and they're gonna sting the heck out of me. I'm getting out of here. I started making my way off, carefully going down the ladder. I felt like I couldn't get off this boat soon enough. Almost there, I saw the comforts of my own boat waiting for me off in the distance. Like walking on eggshells, I moved across the deck taking great care. It was this part of the boat that made me contemplate whether or not my shots were up to date. Before I knew it, the adventure was over. You know how you get that feeling that something's not a good idea? Yeah. That's how I felt before I got on this boat. And now that I've successfully managed to get off the boat, I know it wasn't a good idea. That thing is dangerous. I boarded my boat and headed back home. The tide was still going out, so it was an easy trip back. Well, I'm happy to say that I made it back in one piece. You see this boat in the background here? Does that boat look familiar? It took me 2 days to film this adventure. And that boat right there, that boat was up the river a couple weeks ago. the people who were working on it, they're salvaging the shanks on there. I guess they have a houseboat. But I did ask them about it, and they said that boat's been abandoned for years, and it's just been beaching itself at a different location every day. It's floating its way out to sea. So I guess they're taking the shanks off them because they can use it for their houseboat, I guess. But anyway, yeah, I made it back in one piece. I feel accomplished. I got to explore the boat that I wanted to explore. I feel like I damn near killed myself doing it, but I did get to explore it. I've seen that boat. I've been looking at it for about 4 or 5 years. It's been on my to-do list, and I'm happy to say I can mark that off my to-do list as completed. But if you do go to explore that boat, I suggest you exercise extreme caution because it is sketchy. The floors are decrepit and you might get hurt. But other than that, it's a great day. Good job.